Two, three, go.
Welcome one, welcome all, welcome to the shit show. This is your host for your improv story of the day. We are doing a Sarzac The Necromancer Side story. This idea I had quite a long time ago, where I just thought it'd be funny, but we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Our protagonist, Sarzac, is currently just got done having some fun with this demi-goddess, which basically she was having just pretty much allowing herself to feel different things before she ended up crossing a threshold where feelings and pleasures and stuff is never the same again. Well, they were on their way to meet the goddess of this country, but they knew that it was going to take a while, so the demi-goddess ended up speaking up and saying, "Hey, how about a story of your past? I mean, you have as long as you've been alive, you should have a lot of different stories by now." Like, uh, yeah, actually, he went up for a second. It's like, you know what? I'll tell you a story. This is a story about how I ended up finally accepting the powers from the universe itself. I'm going to start this when I was a little bit before um, there was a big battle going on that I was basically saving the world from a bunch of really, really evil people. But at this time, I accepted it, but never fully accepted the powers that I was granted with necromancy and my cold hard truth of finding a different way than using the powers without using a soul, and I accidentally tapped into the powers of the universe itself and became fully immortal. What a lot of people don't know is we was almost beat the really, really evil dude who's back on Earth. Wait, Earth? Yeah, back on Earth. I think it was like 1980 something. I don't know. That's been a very long time ago. But anyway, plus my timeline ain't fixed like most people's are anymore. But anyway, I just before the while we were fighting the end battle, a portal got opened up, and I basically got Elder Blast in the chest, went all the way through my body and my armor, and I went through this portal like that and landed on the ground. The portal shut off. Pretty sure that most of my companions and everything think long thought I was dead, but it is what it is. Well, um, when I finally woke up, I woke up to the zombie chewing on my had like a zombie on my leg, zombie eating my arm. Um, got away. Finally backed up and everything for like, and then he started feeling extremely sick. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Um, because he had no idea what the powers and stuff would be that was going on here. Well, our Sarzac ended up dragging his bloody mess um, into a hole because where he was at, he was in city and he pretty much forced himself to go down into a sewage thing. But when he fell down, he hit his head and he got knocked out again. During while he was knocked out, there was some zombies that were in the sewage tunnels and they were chomping down. They pretty much ate most of them before something happened to them and ended up just wandering off. When Sarzac woke up again, he had all of his limbs and everything, which kind of confused Sarzac. Is this part of the powers of regeneration? But then he still felt really sick. For one, he hasn't ate or anything, and he's probably been on this planet for about a month at this point, not thinking that it's only been a couple hours. That's just context of that's how many times he was eating. It was about a week where he was on the surface, and he finally made his way down to the hole, knocked himself out, and he's been about 3 or 4 more weeks in that, constantly getting eaten and then regrowing. So his body started regrowing his body a lot quicker. Which at this point he still hasn't fully accepted how powerful he truly is. Well, he went um when he finally was able to walk again, he climbed out of the sewage drain and he saw he basically didn't see that many zombies at that moment. He darted in and out because he smelled like zombies because of all the stuff that was on him, and he was still feeling like really sick. He went into the woods, traveled for on and off for a few days, scrounging up what he could see for food, um, like squirrels and stuff like that, like he used to when he was a child. They brought him, or he ended up finding this little quaint town, and he found this house that um, had a really huge basement that actually had some scientific equipment and stuff in there. But before he did anything, he used his abilities to raise up a good crew of undead skeletons. Like I said, at this point, I am using the powers of the universe itself. So it ain't like I'm using different souls like a lot some necromancers do. Well, he raised up a small army, probably about 25 skeletons, and they basically built a barrier around this town. Um, Started out with wood, then they found some buses that they ended up buses and some other things they ended up using to reinforce the wood. Then ended up started to cut off, bringing in tractor trailer trucks that had and started actually putting the sides on all the wood on the outside, pretty much making this a small fortress when it's all said and done. Well, this went on for about another 6 months before he got it anywhere near um, ready. And looking at it from the outside, it he had about, between all the different metals and stuff they used, they had about that much sheets of metal all the way around the perimeter. Then the wood frame, and then having big buses and stuff parked on the inside of it, and they even found welders and stuff to weld in a lot of the things. And the skeleton somehow found a way to even bring. Okay, sorry about that. um Found a way to even bring some of the different things to their art. Found a way to even stack the buses up, and then started actually even taking off all the wheels, welding all of them together, using that on the outside thing too. I mean, after all said and done, it looked pretty badass. And then the inside of the buses, I actually even made little rooms to have ready rooms and stuff for whenever they actually have locks and stuff. Well, then he kind of, while they were doing that, he was finding different zombies and started doing experiments, magical and scientific, um, both at the same time. Keep in mind, our protagonist felt super weak at the moment. Um, he felt tremendous pain at night as he was still fighting off the virus and everything that was going on. Well, at the end of the day, he felt pretty much like he was an ancient man, where he had to use a cane all the time. Once he got this place the way he wanted, got even made some paneling and stuff after doing a little bit of research of where he was at, because where he was at, they actually had solar panel farm, and he learned how to use all the equipment. So it started to have power, and he ended up sending his minions underground, like digging themselves a little hole and topping it off in case there was any danger about to happen. Well, Well, when all this was going on, there was a group of survivors. Um, Shortly after he buried his skeleton, there was a big group of survivors coming. Like, um, started trickling in one by one. Um, he started showing them how to do all the food and stuff. And before it was all said and done, they ended up having a little townstead there, a little village in RPG terms. Just people. There was some people doing foods. They ended up um, electing a mayor, and they just left this kooky old guy or kooky beat up guy to do its own thing in the basement. Well, a few years actually went by, and the settlement is actually a pretty stout settlement with everything said and done. Um, when I mean stout, I'm talking about they had in this place, they ended up converting like all the leftover portion of the buses. They ended up making like beds for different things. And sorry, my the AI and my camera is kind of being douchey. But anyway, um, I just gotta stop moving my arms. But anyway, I after a good while, I found out that the virus actually ended up mutating from a fairly new drug from where I was from, methamphetamine, um, short name meth, and this world was devastated by it. The zombies were highly contagious. I mean, a scratch to a bite. He also figured out if you cut out the infected area quick enough before it went through your entire body, they were able to survive. So, either way, he ended up sharing all this information with the doctors and stuff that was took over the hospital in this town. They ended up actually using it, and he ended up there was he ended up finding a process where he could actually scan all the people in the town with a 100% rating that it allows them to know their infection rate. And then he also figured out that just about anyone that actually dies will actually turn into a zombie because everybody is infected with the virus. It's just when you can't get in contact with the other side of it, which makes you mutate into a zombie. He actually found different methods that he ended up putting in the foods and stuff that allowed the people of the settlement to actually find antibodies and stuff, but and everything too. I mean, after about 5 years in that, little quaint town, though, he was still hurting constantly. The Even injecting himself with the virus and everything, or with the cure for the virus, is still. And everybody knew him as the mad scientist that lives alone, and nobody ever really fucked with him any much of it. Well, there was a incident that actually happened not too long after he started curing people without their knowledge in that little quaint town where a group of more or less bandits. They were scavengers that ended up raiding settlements, raiding different villages, towns, raiding survivors to take their shit and actually take it back to their boss. Well, in any case, they ended up rolling up and like they had several tanks working. Um, they had some pretty decent weaponry. They come to find out that um, they were actually from a military unit that consolidated their power and found a way to take what they needed because, yeah, it was a lot easier to take than to do all the work themselves. That's just a pretty stupid philosophy going down the road because you can't do something yourself or your group of people can't do anything yourself. You're not going to really get anywhere in life. Well, after everything was actually said and done, um, these guys came up and it was like, we'll give you two options. And they actually pulled some of the hunters they found in the background, all on their knees, bags over their head. One by one, they took the bags off and found there was missing hunting or that went missing about a few days ago. Their tanks got pointed directly at the town, and this was a very bad situation. The mayor of the town ended up going to get the mad scientist. Some called him the mad scientist. Some called me a just a crazy old man. And he asked me to go with him up there to talk to the. He ended up walking up to because there's a little walkway that's around the entire inner wall. Even the gate actually had it built in, and why not? And the military guy ended up shouting out, "You you have settled in the wrong area. This land belongs to um, the Hoorah Alliance. You had no permission to build here. Give us all your valuables, and we will let you free with your lives. If not, we will blow this town to smithereens." The man said. But Sarzac kind of just sat there and put his back up against the gate. the mayor shouted out, "We've been here for long enough for us to claim the rights to this land. We mean you no harm. If you want, we can share some of our crops and everything." And as soon as the guy was about to say more, the guy took out this big ass sword. It looked like a full bastard sword, and he came down and actually just chopped two of the people's head off. And there was a line of like 10 people, and he ended up chopping the youngest person's head off, and then chopping the head off of a of the oldest person. And it's like, do you think we're kidding? We are going to wipe this town off the map. You have no business here. Take your lives, leave. If we go right now like this, we will all die. The zombies will eat us alive if we don't starve to death. Why in the world would you do this to us? Not my fucking problem. And he took the sword, and the mayor ended up yelling out, "No!" Took the sword and put it right down in the back of the dude's neck, severing his spine, going out the back of his spine into his throat, and then down his the front inside where the cavity of the bone is. The sword actually started poking out down a gut, pulled it out. But I say it again. If you do not leave within the next 5 minutes, they're going to start. He pointed at the tanks, and we're going to start blasting. Sarzac looked up at the mayor and is like, I can deal with this situation, but people will fear me after that happens. I need your insurances right now that nobody's going to fuck with me after this happens. The mayor looks down. Do whatever it takes. I don't care. I don't care if I have to make. And he started sprouting on a bunch of nonsense. It's like nothing so drastic, but he looked down. These are people that he's an outlier, but he saw how these people were actually happy, and to see a hunting party, some of the people that he trained himself here and there actually able to shoot a bow and whatnot, and the science check to see if meat is tainted, and he's actually done a lot of work to actually help keep this town upright. He stands up, and he basically tears start rushing down his eyes gradually, and then he yells out, if you touch another one of the villagers, about the same time he said that, he was about to, he's like, hold on. And then he shouts at the top. Or he doesn't even have to shout. It's like he gets a connection of all the, in his absolute rage after seeing the dude was about to chop another one of his friend's head off. He popped a skeleton out of the ground right where the dude was standing, so the dude ends up falling over. Dude's eyes went like blasted, like what the before the skeleton looks a just grabs his throat and just rips it out. and in his anger, he commanded all the other skeletons to attack, but to attack the tanks first, and with dire prejudice, because those things can actually take over the town. The mayor took a step or two back when he saw this, and his eyes went, seeing that um, Sarzac started glowing to a certain extent. In his head, he made a silent prayer to himself. I am trusting into the power of the universe to save the people around me. And the next, he started glowing. Um, his body started getting a lot younger. His hair turned white as snow. His body started getting a lot more muscular and whatnot. And it's like he finally accepted the power of the universe. But when he did, his skeletons went from or went from okay fighters to um freaking tanks nearly in their own right. They literally like ripped the door off the top of the tank, jumped in. All you could hear is screams of these people all shooting back and forth, trying to hit with bullets just bouncing off most of the skeletons for them to pick up weapons themselves and started using them. It was brutal. When Sarzac finally opened his eyes and started looking around, it's like he could feel the magic entering and leaving his body at will. He had an unlimited well of magic. He never had to use a soul to create these undead. Um, he made a mental note to the skeletons not to destroy the tanks. He had plans to actually use them for ways to defend this place. Then he actually jumps down after getting his bearings straight from and finally accepting his own abilities. He jumps off the wall, lands on the ground where he saw this military guy that actually had a sword, the sword in his hand. This first one to die from his skeletons. He picked it up, jumped up on a tank, and he starts charging the people that were trying to murder everybody at this base or at this little village. While bobbing in and out of people, cutting people's arms and legs off. I mean, just he was furious. Everybody that ended, there was about 50 people that died right there, and the others ran off scared, dropped their weapons and everything. It's like he looks around and, oh, this is new. I don't think the virus is going to affect me anymore. And he looks at his hair and is like, my hair, wait, I'm not pale. Oh, Looked like a damn vampire. Besides, because I really fucking hate vampires. Those jackasses caused the conflict that Earth to begin with. To He just shakes his head, and he ended up he ended up calming down a little bit before he told the mayor, "Hey, open the door. You need to scavenge all the guns and stuff off these people. Get these tanks moved in to this place." And I know we have a few military people able to actually do what needs to be done. Um, One of the older guys that came up there, instead of bringing the tanks in, should because there's 4 tanks altogether, you should put 2 at this, or 1 at every, like one here, 1 on the farthest east side, 1 on each section, and actually build a structure around them to be able to actually still use the cannon, but to have a little bit of elevation. And Sarzac looked and was like, "How about if we build a place on each side of the wall, because the wall should be able to hold the cannon itself." But oh, I got a great idea actually. Guys, jump back for a second because we saw these skeletons come around and basically told the skeletons what he wanted done, and basically what and then he ended up turning around to the mayor and it's like, "Hey, we need to talk to the rest of the town about my abilities, and this is a constant. It's not going to go away anytime soon." He Him, the mayor, gathered everybody around while everybody was kind of freaked out by the skeletons actually building these contraptions on simultaneously on the farthest. Like, it was made in a circle, so it's like at the you have the gate up here, you have far end the circle and both sides, and basically with the skeletons being like 3 times stronger, and some of them even able to use some of the abilities and stuff that Sarzac knew, they were all gradually working. They pretty much made this area where it's on top of the thing that goes back like this. The tank goes in and out like that, and if they have to, it can drop off the side of them and actually be used as an actual tank and still be drove back up there and then locked down. Um, Still used it on top of the wall too. I mean, it was pretty cool, and they got all this stuff done in like record timing too, which kind of even frightened Sarzac a little bit because of how long it took him just to build this wall. But Sarzac ends up walking up on the podium with the entire town in place, and it's like, "My name is Sarzac. I am a necromancer. I Before anybody asked, I wasn't even here when this plague started, and I've also developed my entire being while being here to try to solve the zombie issue. I want to make one thing absolutely clear. I don't like zombies. I don't like creating zombies. I don't like zombies in general. I prefer my soldiers to be fully skeleton. These skeletons are going to stay out of sight and defend the town and help with labor stuff. I don't think it'd be a good idea to send the town out with or to let the skeletons hunt or anything because I don't not just don't think that'd be a good idea in general. But I can send a skeleton to obey somebody to help fight off any zombie or anything. And he started explaining on all the different things that these zombies can do or these skeletons can do. I was here before all of you were here. A lot of you will be scared of me. A lot of you will feel like I am evil incarnate or anything stupid like that. Not a good idea to really. He stopped for a second. It's like, I need to reword what I was about to say. Looked up. These skeletons are going to protect this town. We will need protection. They hear banging stuff in the background. Those people will be back. We will need a way to defend ourselves from these vile creatures. No ifs, ands, or buts. He looked around. We will be able to fight. I am going to start training a small militia force so we have actual commanders. And between you guys and the skeletons, we're going to protect this place, maybe even expand it to other territories to keep our children safe. Those assholes just went and slaughtered 3 good men. Good men I even hadn't. I will not stand for it. I'm going to be talking with the mayor shortly after this meeting. I do know that my presence will freak people out, especially at first. As soon as my skeletons gets done with their duty, they're gonna go back underground. I'm gonna have a small contingent of skeletons, pretty much zombie hunting, and to keep this place safe. He pretty much said the rest of his piece, and I was pointing towards the mayor. Mayor says, "I know how freaky this is. The damage is done by the undead, these zombies, and with the technology and stuff we had that almost became useless because of these damn things. With Sarzac the Necromancer, we might actually have a chance to end this once and for all so we can bring back." And he ended up going on a big old long speech on bring back freedom to get rid of these zombies, yada yada yada. He Sarzac knew this was on Earth. too. And he looked like we do need to have a private meeting in your quarters. And just before Sarzac walked off Spades, the mayor said a few more things and headed off to his house. The consensus of the group is without Sarzac, without this town, they'd all be dead. And these skeletons look nothing like zombies. And seeing day in and day out how these um, skeletons here in the near future end up protecting them, everybody in this town started accepting who Sarzac really is. And accepting the fact that Sarzac was actually there to help and he generally cared about his people and about the people there. I mean, even somebody was thinking, hey, maybe he should be mayor, but then he heard somebody say that. He looks over and it's like, there are things I am good at. I am not good with dealing with people in general. I am not good at dealing with for long periods of time. I lost a lot to get here. He looks at he looks back at him. I do not have the patience, the fortitude to be mayor. To but no. Okay. Well, and then he ends up walking back to the mayor's house. After the mayor finally gets there, he looks up at Sarzac and was like, when you said not to judge, you weren't kidding. That hit went, both of them had a little bit of a chuckle. He looked around and was like, yeah, definitely wasn't kidding. There, but I do need to discuss with you what we do need to do going forward and need to explain to the people that you have set up throughout the city to explain to them what I am and what I'm not. General view is I have control over the undead. I have the ability to make them stronger, yada yada. I do not have any control over the zombies. I don't like zombies to begin with. I am trying to save as many people as I can. Ends up saying I've even found a way to get rid of the virus out of people um completely. So people in this town don't have to worry about if Billy Turner ends up having a heart attack and dies, coming back and starts eating his wife's face off. So we can start separate our letting people actually be together at night without having all the stuff that we've actually and a good bit of or everybody in the settlement's already like that. It's like, wait, how did I put it in the water and the food, and I getting checkups and stuff, and talking with some of the doctors. I found out that we actually did it. We But the virus can still re-enter the system by being bit and stuff, which I have some ideas for that. But I think we need to start rating some of the major cities for technology and stuff to help progress and actually help turn tide against the zombies. And when I mean raid, I don't mean actually hurting the living either. He looks up, is like, "Oh, thank you for that. Uh, we are not them. We are not bandits. We're out here to survive. We're out here to help this world along." So I have one question. Like, okay, what is it? You're from Earth, aren't you? His eyes went wide. You know my original? Yes, we've known about it for a long time. We just hadn't had any way to actually get there because space program stuff has been racked with constant setbacks, almost like somebody is deliberately doing that. And then this whole zombie apocalypse crap happened. He just shook his head. Zombies, I can't believe zombies are actually even a thing. Well, magic's a thing too, you know. Like, oh yeah, we all know about that. We all actually have general powers. We just haven't really been able to tap into magic or the flows of the around us for a while now because we've been just scrambling to survive. So actually setting down to study is kind of hard for us at the moment. Is that? Yeah, I bet it would. Wait, you guys have magic here? Yes, and we also have a lot of magical technology too that incorporates both. Huh. Well, can you? And then he's like, we really do need to get a hold of some equipment to actually start. Because if we can actually make our own little city of ourselves, we might be able to actually get enough people. And plus, hunting for survivors and stuff to bring them, the ones that actually want to be safe, to bring them here, and developing soldiers and stuff, be able to protect everybody. But I have a good idea that we're probably going to have to keep this settlement a secret regardless. He looks over and is like, why? Because most people, regardless who, um, things happen, and we may be allies now, but once the world is saved, you have a lot of these same people that will turn against me just because the abilities I wield, and they'll make the case saying he's a necromancer. He's probably the one that caused it, yada yada. And he also went into several other different avenues. So keeping me a underground secret while we start to build up is more than likely the best course of action. Even in the future, we'll probably end up putting armor or some type of clothing that'll cover the entire skeleton to get shit done that way too. Because at some point, we'll have to rely on yourselves to be able to fix this shit. And before too long, we'll be baited by those assholes over there who tried to wipe off this base already. So we have a lot to prepare and we need to start preparing. And that is where I'm going to cut the story for now. I'm already close to an hour at this point. Um, there'll be several more parts to the story, but keep in mind this is a side story to Sarzac. Any comments or anything, just leave them down below in the comment section. Anything you'd like to see out of this story or any ideas or anything are more than welcome. Because a single idea, bad or good, can spark another idea that ends up turning something from one thing into something much greater. Um, if you want to like, but you don't have to. It ain't that big of a deal. If you want to subscribe for other stories, you can. Um, this will also be in the Sarzac playlist below. I hope everybody has a good day. Rocking.